Hey everyone, welcome back to Kare's Garage. And on this episode, we're back with the smart car, because we got the parts to put it back together. Last episode, we left off with the timing cover because we were missing the correct O-ring. So, finally came in today, so we got the new O-ring for here, we got new O-rings here, and it's pretty much all cleaned up, so now we can put some RTV sealer on it, get it back on the car, put all the bolts in, torque it down, and then start really putting it back together, because we're at that point. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to get these O-rings out, and I'm not going to coat them with RTV. I'm just going to put a little bit in here just to kind of keep them in so they don't fall out when I'm installing it. And now we can put a nice bead around the edge and get it put on. So now with the gentle finesse, we need to get it in, make sure the O-rings stay in place. So it's now on. I totally forgot to align the oil pump drive, but getting the bolt started, my dogs are barking so friends are here. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down and we'll torque it here in a little bit. So now that we got all the bolts in the timing cover and snug down, let me go ahead and put the new water pump on because there's several bolts that go through the water pump in the timing cover, and then we can torque down the bolts. And a lot of times when I'm replacing parts like this, I'll take the old part out, put the corresponding bolts through so I don't lose them. And I can keep track of which ones go where. Now let's go ahead and get the torque specs and get it all torqued down. It looks like the big ones are 23 newton meters and the little ones are 11. Well, now that that's on, I want to go ahead and get the valve cover ready. I'm going to put a new gasket on it, get the valve cover on, get a few of the little pieces on here, and then we'll get the engine remounted to the subframe. And yeah, getting a lot done. Got the valve cover here. Got the nice new gasket installed. Put a little bit of RTV on the perimeter just to keep it from going anywhere. Go and take these guys out. The first thing we need to do before we put the new valve cover on, or the valve cover with the new gasket on, is we gotta take these guys off. Because I've got new ones. And it's always important to replace these, because if you don't, if they are old or they leak a little bit, you'll get oil down your spark plug wells, and it will definitely, because I've seen it happen, foul out your coils, and then it'll make it miss and run like crap. And to do all this stuff, the valve cover, all these little new rubber pieces, it was pretty cheap. Okay. So now, let's go ahead and bring it the correct way. Let's see. What I'll go ahead and do is put in the perimeter bolts, and then I'll just take a peek down to make sure that the actual gasket itself hasn't shifted. And then we'll just start snugging it up. And I'm going to go with, that looks good. So now that's on. Just got a nice little preliminary torque on it. The same torque specs as the small M6s on the timing cover. Let's go ahead and get the crank pulley on. I'm not going to torque it down yet. That one's kind of a bit of a hassle to do, unfortunately. So I'm going to Have to get creative on torquing that guy, but at least let's get it on. So, let's... So many little things to do. Let's go ahead and put that water pipe in. And if I remember right, yes, these go here. So we'll put that on before the intake goes back on. Now, before I forget, let's just go ahead and get this water tube on. Also, before I forget, the solenoid needs to go back in. Once I can get this crank bolt torqued down, then we're golden to put everything else back on, and we could probably actually start getting the motor back into place. So we're at a good point now that I'm going to go ahead and put this motor mount back on so we can get the engine where it's supposed to be, and then we can start dressing it up with the rest of its stuff, get the intake on, the injector rail back on, get stuff kind of back where it goes, torque down, and then once that's done, got to get the alternator on as well. Probably do that real quick. And then we can do all the wiring, and then it'll be time to put her back in. Which honestly is the part I'm not looking forward to, but it has to get done. See if I can remember how this guy goes. So we go on here. Yep, just like that. Go down, and this guy goes here. Cool. Simple enough. Now we've got the motor mount here with the rubber insulator. So what we're going to have to go ahead and do is jack up the motor quite a bit, engine, and get it to where it's leveled off. Right now those are on. Go ahead and put the retainer in. And then one of these had some sort of a bracket, if I remember right. So I'm going to take one of these bolts back out, but that's not a big deal. And I did take a bunch of reference pictures, but let's see if maybe I can remember how it goes. And I'll break open the phone and take a look. I'm going to go ahead and say, without a shadow of a doubt, that this goes here. We got the 3 coil plugs, the 3 injector plugs, got a few sensors, so let's go ahead and think. Let's see. So this will go up into the body. These two definitely go there. Went ahead and we have the wiring loom mostly sitting in place. I've got it bolted down with a couple of the retainers. A few of the things really made sense where they went. And then I also got, let's see, a few of the wires already hooked up down there. Low pressure, knock sensor, got a few of the chassis to the engine grounds on. Let's see. Look, here's another one. Click, very nice. So what I'm going to do is put the spark plugs in, put the coils back in so we can get those clipped into place. I want to look at my phone at a couple of things just so I can remember and be 100% sure where everything went. Then we're going to get the intake manifold on, put that air pump back here and back on. Make sure to put any of the hoses. And then we will be very close to getting it tucked under the car, getting the shifter mechanism, the parking brake, look at some of the plumbing on the brakes, and we'll be very close to getting it running. Hopefully we can maybe start it tomorrow. That would be pretty cool, but we'll see. So we're at a good point now got the wiring harness pretty much all clipped into where it needs to go. So let me figure out where this guy goes. I think it's somewhere over here. Now I'll figure that out in a little bit. Let's go ahead and pop the coils in. I also, dropping stuff, I also loosely bolted down the secondary air pump, but we'll get to that shortly. So let's go ahead. I'll tell you what, I really appreciate my friend who originally took this car apart that I got it from, how he staged all the fasteners. It made it really easy to be able to go back, reference where everything went, and very nicely organized. I will applaud him for that. Okay, we found all the intake bolts. Now let's go ahead and press in the injector rail. Now we'll go ahead and get the throttle body on. And I just love when parts just start melting away as you're putting it all back together. It's kind of my favorite thing. All right, so I'm going to spend some time to figure out where some of the rogue wires go, make sure everything gets hooked up correctly, and then, fingers crossed, we're going to start sliding it in, get it slowly jacked into place, get the cooling hoses connected, route the shifter cable, get some of the other wiring that's dangling down for the shifter, get the air conditioning compressor mounted up, and I say we're getting pretty darn close. Right, well, the time has come. Everything is all together enough to where we can start to slide it under the car, get some more of the stuff hooked up, swing the AC compressor in, and finally get it mated back up to the body. All right, well, I turned off the camera a bit ago. It was just a lot of little things and struggles getting it in, but I went ahead and got the engine lifted in. All four subframe bolts are in, snug down. Need to torque those down tomorrow. And if we go in here, see, there's the engine again. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more chasing some wiring for the shifter, clutch, throw out motor. I need to connect the shifter cable, hook up the fuel, a few other things, but it's pretty close. Then I got to put all the plastic underpinnings in, fill it up with oil, coolant, bleed the cooling system, put all the interior back together, wire the ECU. Got to figure out all that, but it's getting really close. It's almost there. Now I'm not going to end the video just yet. We're going to kind of do a 2-in-1 on this guy. So we're going to resume it on tomorrow, get the rest of the wiring, underpinning stuff, all the other little bits, torques we need to get done. And then hopefully tomorrow, we'll see, maybe we can start it. I still need to go to get my friend to come over and use his computer so we could readapt for the new clutch because, I don't know how well they'll self-learn, but we're really getting close. Not much left, but still a bunch. Well, it's the next day. We're back with the Smart. So today what we need to get done is we need to finish some of the wiring up here, hook up the shifter cable, fuel line. There's a couple of vacuum lines I need to run. And then I need to hook up the muffler, the rear crash bar, and then I got a couple of things underneath with the brake lines to hook up. So let's get to it and try and get this all back together. The time has come now to reinstall the exhaust. Then we'll get the rear crash bar on and I guess probably get the rear body panels on. I've got a bunch of the underbelly plastics to put on, but those are going to be kind of a pain. So I'll deal with that here in a little bit. So we'll get it slid into the plastic holders and then get it tightened down. Okay, I ended up splitting apart the 3 pieces for the rear end. So now, let's see if it'll be a bit easier to install. That's at least the hope. Okay, the center piece is now on. Alright, well the whole rear end is back together. I got oil in the engine. I don't have coolant in it yet. I still need to do all the plastics underneath, and I need to bleed the rear brakes. But I got the power hooked back up. Let's go inside it real quick. Got the battery hooked up. I had it on a charger for a little bit, but well, here's the moment of truth. Let's see if it does anything. Well, it cranks. Not starting yet. I could get fuel up to the injectors. And there we go. Tack is working. Well, I'd say that's a win. Well, we're pretty much towards the end. Got all the underbelly stuff done. Everything back here is all together. All I need to do is bleed the brakes, put the wheels on, bleed the cooling system, and see if it goes down the road. I still trying to figure out if I need to readapt for the new clutch in the computer, but we shall see. Well, for now, that's a really good stopping point for the smart car in the video. I messed up my back a few weeks ago, so I can only do so much, and it's starting to act up. But we got a lot done. Got it to start, which is pretty awesome. So we got to do the last couple little things on the car, and we'll be able to drive it. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and keep up on the videos. And the next video, we'll be driving the Smart. Catch you guys in the next video.